Have you ever been unsure whether you should trust someone you don't know? Like when you're asking for directions, or when a salesperson tells you that that jacket looks great on you. Sometimes it can be obvious. You very clearly don't want to trust the person on the left, whereas other times it can be more difficult. You don't have enough information whether you should trust the person on the right or not. Researchers have investigated how our brains make different types of decisions since the 90s. Preference decisions like do you prefer Star Wars or Star Trek? Or perceptual decisions like is a dress blue and black or white and gold? And yet we still don't know what needs to happen in our brain for us to decide to trust someone, or which brain area is responsible in these decisions. And considering these are choices that we make every day, how there are some people on the autism spectrum that struggle with this information, and that we expect AI to make these decisions for us? I think it's about time we learn how we make these choices. So, in the lab, we show our participants images like these, and we ask them to decide if they would trust these people with an investment. And we measure two types of brain signal. The first one is an electrical signal that we measure with electrodes on the scalp, which tells us how a process evolves over time. But it's difficult to know which brain area that signal comes from. The second signal depends on the level of oxygen in the blood vessels in the brain. We measure inside a scanner, and it can tell us which areas are active. So what we see is that when we have an easy choice, the electrical signal ramps up very quickly. Whereas when we have a more ambiguous choice, that signal still ramps up, but much slower. Therefore, we can use this signal to differentiate between these decisions, and we can use these ramps to identify which activations are relevant to the decision and are not just active because we're seeing a face or because we're making a response. And it turns out there's an area right beneath the center of the skull where information for and against trusting someone is accumulated until you reach a decision. So when the information is ambiguous, this accumulation process is much more laborious. So next time you're unsure whether you should trust someone, know that this area is working very hard to accumulate whatever little information you have to give you the answer. And doing this might help us understand autism better and help us build better AI in the future. And it might have other applications as well. All we need to do now is figure out how to decide which one to start with first.